Obviously, we have a main guest coming up right after me, and very briefly, if you don't know my story, I was born in Soviet Union in 1980. I was indoctrinated into the religion of communism. That's what the religion was in Soviet Union, and that's partially one of the reasons why I got as active as I did in 2020, because I saw how much indoctrination already happened up to that point in the indoctrination system, not an education system. But especially with all the COVID measures and everything else the government was rolling out, the writing was on the wall that this is tyranny like never before. No Canadians ever experienced what they were about to roll out, and I had to do something. I was raised a certain way where I see injustices being done. First, I have to speak up. I have to use my voice to bring attention to things that are wrong, obviously wrong. It's common sense how wrong the things are, from especially the 2020, the beginning of everything the government was doing. And then second of all, if you see nothing's being done once you bring attention to certain things, guess what? It's our responsibility to do something about it. Who's with me? And that's why I chose to show up at the Toronto Queen's Park rally at the very beginning, April, May of 2020. That's when we will start to come together there. We didn't really know each other. We just showed up because we had to show up. We had to do something. And look at us now. 2.5 years later, hundreds of multiple different organizations around the country doing different initiatives, bringing awareness, sharing information, spreading the truth. Spreading the truth. You know how they said from the beginning, stop the spread? No, 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 no. We're just getting started with the spread. Because the power of the truth is undeniable. You don't need to defend the truth. You just need to spread it wide and far. And boy, oh boy, we've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. It's incredible to witness how many people are waking up now in droves. And guess what? Once they awaken, they're not going back to sleep. Right? We would all agree, once you show people the truth and they have that mind shift, which happens sometimes in the moment, but I guess there was a lot of things that led up to that moment for people to have a shift. And that's why I often say, never minimize a single conversation what you have with one person. Because the impact is truly remarkable and unmeasurable in the sense of what can happen for that person later on. Because all those things that they hear from you, they hear from other people within the rally, they go to different websites, different videos. All those things are building blocks. All those things are seeds of doubt that have been spread in people's mind to help them connect the dots. And you have to give people the space to connect those dots. You cannot do it for them. Because that's what the government does. The government tells us what to think. We're just asking people to think. That's the main difference, and it's so simple, but it's so true, that we are empowering people to be in charge of their life, where the government is actively trying to create a nanny state, that you're going to be dependent on the government for everything. And the government is your big daddy that's going to know the best interest for you. Well, I think we all can see now, especially after 2.5 years, that the government does not have a best interest for us. In fact, the government is not your best friend. The government is your worst enemy. If the government truly cared about the health and prosperity of Canadians, they would not shut down the gyms and pay over $300 million to Good Life, and then impose all the nonsense unhealthy regulations for people that want to stay healthy and go to those gyms. They would keep gyms open. They would offer free memberships to the gyms, to the people that want to stay healthy. They would mandate doing push-ups rather than wearing masks or taking an experimental jab. But guess what? As I say often, everything that transpired in the last 2.5 years, it had to unfold the way it did. With all the suffering myself and many of you went through, and probably still going, and people that we lost, unfortunately, because we couldn't be with them for different reasons, or many people that we know now that unfortunately got coerced and be subjected to this experiment and genocide of unimaginable proportions. It had to be this way to really expose the truth to so many people that were blinded before. The reality is the system was never broken. It was designed this way. The system was designed to create compliant, obedient, sick people that would be reliant on the government. Because if you have your health and you have some type of wealth, or you're financially independent, where you don't need to rely on other people, you can go and you create your business and you can make an impact. You cannot be controlled.
Can you get a picture of
right? In Soviet Union, everybody was the same. Everybody was the same. But then the politicians had the caviar and everything else, and I, at 8 years old, had to line up at the store with food coupons because the government told my family how much food we're allowed to have. Sounds a little familiar? What's essential, what's not essential, right? You can get this, you cannot get this. And we can see this now, like we're not even hiding anymore. The government won't control you what car you're gonna drive, how far you're gonna drive, and where you wanna go drive, right? That's again what was in Soviet Union. And as you know, so many immigrants coming from different tyrannical countries like Venezuela, like China, right? They know what's about to take place. And we've been doing our best to warn Canadians, because Canadians are intelligent, Canadians are beautiful people. But what Canadians miss the most is a perspective that, like I shared already, the government is your worst enemy. So you have to regain your independence. You have to be as healthy as possible and proactive with your health and take personal responsibility. Ultimately, if it would be one message I would ask for you to take today from me personally, is every single day choose to take personal responsibility for your life in all areas. In health, in finances, in all those things. And that's what you want to pass on to your kids or whoever you're taking care of. That's your responsibility as a parent, not the government. You as a parent are responsible how your kids are going to be raised. You have to raise your kids to be strong and not to be intimidated. And there's examples even in the last 2.5 years of few different kids across the world. There was one girl in Florida that was sent to the principal multiple times because she said, I'm not going to wear this stupid mask. And eventually DeSantis had her at the press conference and said, no, we're not going to force kids to do anything. And that shows to you that even one child can make a difference. Imagine how much you, as an adult with multiple resources, can make a difference.
Right.
And that's kind of my also ongoing message, that every single one of you has a purpose. Every one of you has a power and certain design that instilled in you. And it's not our place to make you leaders. You're already a leader in your own right. But some people need a little bit of facilitation. They need a little bit of inspiration. They need a little bit of a structure. And myself and multiple people have been doing our best to empower you to take a stand like many others already have. And the reality, like I said, I don't know what Abakan side can do to win this war, because I know in my heart we already won it, because so many people are waking up, so many people sharing the truth, spreading the truth and facts, and unfortunately many people are personally experiencing the injuries or death in their families from these experimental jabs. And the reality is, as much as people should be outraged with CDC mandating these COVID shots as a schedule, and they should be for the kids, the reality is it exposes even more that all those shots in that schedule was never safe and effective. None of them safe and effective. None of them. If you know my story, I have a son that I'm battling to gain custody back, and there's improvement, and I'm blessed for the improvement in that. But my daughter, who's now 15 months, she's organic 100%. There's not a single shot in her, there's no drops, nothing. And she's the healthiest child you can have. She's so alert, she's so energetic, she's so strong. Woo! So it's all bullshit, pardon my French, what they're trying to tell you, that you have to do those things to keep your kids safe and effective. We know what you mean by safe and effective now. And so many people know it now as well. And I always want to give shout out to the Vaccine Choice Canada, the tremendous organization that's been at the forefront for 4 decades. Let's give it up to Vaccine Choice Canada.